Welcome to 4D Life with Richie Watson over there and myself, David Saville. Now, today we're going to be diving into something very recent that's happened to Richie, and his journey through ill health and healing. He's had something else to hit him in the stomach and knock him to the ground, which is terrible for him to experience, but also quite awesome because of what he's had to do. And how it just demonstrates how the 4D life, 4D self-mastery works at the most extreme of places. And of course, that's very exciting for him, as he'll be explaining to you shortly, but also for us because of what we're going to get to do as we really engage with this ourselves. So I can't wait to dig into this with you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's wow. Feels nice to be here a little bit on the other side of what I've just been through and being able to talk about it from it, having gone through it, but talking about it rather than being in it. Yeah, this is definitely preferable.
Yes, preferable. But of course, what you do when you're in it means that you're not trying to be here, right?
No. Yeah, that's why I use that word. I was actually starting to write a post about this, and I found myself writing like after I'd set the scene of what I'd been going through. I had a choice between feeling physical debilitation or this hell of severe depression. If I took a supplement which helps with the physical symptoms, it was causing me this depression, which we'll go into more details of. And then I wrote the words. I was comparing it between hell and a hard place, right? It's going to be the name of the post, which make that the name of the video actually. And somewhere down the line I said, I choose a hard place over hell, right? And then I realized I can't use that word choose because then it confuses the message, and I have to write it like preference or rather. So yeah, what I mean, yeah, it's preferable, but while I'm in it, I have to choose it, and that's kind of central to the feel first approach within the 4D approach. It's crucial, fundamental. It is the skeleton key to life, and I only say that because I've used it successfully in every area so far, and when others use it, it works too. And it worked through this. It worked differently. It was a different experience, and that's the thing to share, because man, I encountered myself in a way I didn't actually know was possible at this stage. I really didn't know I could feel that way. But that's the problem with having a body as well as a mind. Something happens to that, and it can radically affect how you feel emotionally and psychologically. And that's what I experienced. And I've got the deepest empathy for people going through like long-term depression, because what I encountered, like I said, it's not my preference.
And we're talking very within days, right? We're talking about this happening.
Yeah. It was the other week, and so what was happening was I've been going through obviously all my physical challenges, which are really hard, and I'm making progress month by month. But I can have real setback weeks. That's the thing about progress. Setback is within it, just like success has failure within it. Forward has setbacks in it. It's all part of the process. But it's really difficult when inch by inch you're moving yourself forward every day, and that process is going on for weeks, and then suddenly you have a setback which makes you feel like you're back to square one. You're not, and you never are, and it's important to understand that, because you've experienced more life. You know more now. I know more now than I ever have in my entire life. I've experienced more life than I ever have, which means I have more resources. I have more access to resources to help navigate me forward. That's important to know, because that changes your relationship with those kind of setbacks in part. That's an idea that's helpful. Again, fundamentally, we need to begin where we feel. We can't get in a wrestle and deny, a resist and deny with how we're feeling. So I'm making progress. I get dragged back to this place where things are really difficult for me. I need to be able to be willing to feel what I feel and meet that moment and everything that's there within it for me. I need to be able to do that. Otherwise, I'm getting a resist and deny, an internal tug of war, which adds gravity to any suffering. This is kind of the starting point, the feel first approach. Must be willing to feel, willing to embrace, allow, accept how we're feeling, not the circumstances. I'm just going to keep emphasizing this. We don't look to accept the circumstances because they may be circumstances we don't like. And that's where people get really torn in two, because they're trying to accept something they don't want to accept. Mm-hmm. Whereas what they need to accept is they don't want to accept it. It's not the external we're looking to accept. It's the internal. It's how we feel about it. Whatever it is, that's what we look to accept. That's what we look to feel into. Okay, so feel first. And then we do. We feel what we need to feel. We do what we need to do. But we don't skip the feeling before the doing, because otherwise then doing becomes a distraction. It can become avoidance. Doing can become the very thing that leads us to keep feeling the same damn thing over and over again, because we've skipped that process of feeling first. Now,
yeah, man. So before you just dive into that, just because this came up at our, the 4D Life Day, right? It was day 4 of the journey that we're guiding people on. Obviously, primarily you're teaching, but then me being there as support, guidance, and
I can do.
Right? Exactly. I'm just there to look pretty. But then we were actually asking us, like, what's our understanding of the feel first? How do we approach it? And you asked me about it, and I'd shared something that had been working for me to a point, which was that when I'm reacting, like for me, I was thinking of flashes of anger, like this thing of like, I've got a flash of anger right now, and I really want to like hit something or just do something physically, right? Or scream at someone. That's what I want to do. My being is trying to make me do that. But what I've been doing is like, because I'm realized that I get tension, and so I soften that tension is what I've been doing. And it's been working in the moment. Means I don't hit that thing, scream at that person, those things haven't been happening. So to some degree, my experience of it has been successful, as you alluded to though, but I'm actually missing the point. I may be, and that can be useful, right? Okay, I'm not doing that thing in the moment, but but the cycle is still there. The pattern that created that reaction, which I don't want to have, nothing's been done with that, because I wasn't actually feeling first. I was changing my physicality and then feeling into what I've just changed. That's what I've been doing, man.
It's a management and improvement approach. Which is what most things are. It's like, okay, you're feeling this anger. Okay, stop feeling the anger. And there's basically a management and improvement approach towards that, which of course is really helpful and necessary in some circumstances. But if what we want is to actually facilitate transmutation of the emotional roots of that anger, the emotional roots of trauma, then we have to go further towards a feeling focused approach. So, what we come up with is if you're in that moment and then you're conceptually like, right, relax myself to transcend the state in that moment, which again might be necessary in some circumstances. But what we want to do is facilitate transmutation. So we need to be able to be willing to feel what we're feeling more deeply in that moment, to be in and with it. And to actually, so instead of, okay, let's change, I'm going to relax, and it's very much your mind doing it. I'm going to relax my body in order to change my state and transcend it. Instead of seeking transcendence kind of from here, we transmute into that transcendence. So we go deeper into and we transmute that facilitates a transcendence, but now it's a more meaningful transcendence, because we're actually transmuting the underneath of the cause of the emotions, deep within our past or whatever history that is echoing up. We're transmuting that, which means that not only are we shifting our state in the moment, but we're reconditioning ourselves, we're healing, so we don't necessarily re-experience those states in the same way in the future. Okay, and that was the big difference. That was the nuanced step that you needed to take, which is, okay, don't seek to relax your body, feel into what you're feeling, feel deeper into it, be in and with it. And that's what we do to facilitate transmutation. Yeah,
that was a perfect revelation for me.
Well, that's why we get caught in a cycle. There's it, and you've been with me for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But there's just something you can miss, and it's embodied. and there's just a nuance that can be missed, and that nuance can be the missing link that you need to really make the difference and move forward. And, you know, what a great moment for us.
Well, I think that's the challenge with it, as we talked about before, actually, like explaining what this is, because it can be oversimplified and it can seem, because in some ways it is extremely simple, but of course the nuance and the ability to meet it, that requires quite a bit. And that's what often usually requires actually facilitation, right? Because it's like, as you said, I've been with you for years. And particularly this part of it was one of the, you know, the main things that we've been talking about and engaging with. And yet, even after all these years, still doing it badly.
Yeah, well, there was definitely, you know, there was this missing place, this tweak that needed, and it's like it's invisible to us, right? Until we see it. So sometimes it needs to be revealed to us, and that's, you know, but it's the journey for me too, because, you know, it's always finding where it is I can do it more, where it is I can do it more fully, be more fully expressed internally and externally. That's the journey, and you know, it's wonderful to be able to facilitate that journey for others. As much as, you know, as much as I've had to go through such hell to be the person that gets to do it, and I've just been, as I've said, through a bit more. But yeah, that is the thing with the whole 4D approach is, and that's the intention, obviously, to make it simple in the sense of simple to use, but of course, to make it complete. I think it was Einstein who says things should be, you need to make things as simple as possible, but no simpler. Yeah. And that's 4D. It's as simple as possible, but no simpler. And it's built. And this is also this idea of, you know, simplicity is built upon a complexity. Like a simple solution is built on complex understanding. And that's what the 4D approach is. And what we end up with is this compass, which is wonderful, which I use, which you can use, which everyone that's joined us can use through everything you experience in life, because it's complete. But it's a compass. It has 4 points. It's 4 points to understand. 4 points to understand the nature of our experience of life. 4 points to understand what we do within those dimensions that we're experiencing. And, you know, what a gift. It's a magic gift. And, you know, in my post earlier, I was writing, and I was writing about something historically, like many, many years ago, when in my early 20s, when it was my, you know, the words were, it was my time to fall apart, because I've been through so much throughout my life with health and everything. I didn't know what was causing me so many problems, mind and body, back then. And I didn't have the compass. And it's like, I don't know how. When I look back, it's like, how the fuck did I get through that without it? Without what I have now, right? And it's just, I'm so grateful to have it for myself. And there's an extra dimension of gratitude to be able to share it. It's magic. But thank God I had it in the last couple of weeks, right? Just thank God, because what I went through was pure hell. And I'm, you know, I was between hell and a hard place, but literally, you know, and the hard place we know about because I've been going through it as well. I've been making posts about it. But this hell was, you know, it's a tough choice, and I had to make it every day of which to go through. It was either the physical debilitation, which is so tough and so difficult. I'm these relentless palpitations and internal tremor, internal noise. It's difficult to describe. There's tinnitus and this buzzing, but it's all through my body, like a vibrating noise. And the exhaustion and the lack of clarity and the fogginess. And the exhaustion, again, the word exhaustion just isn't sufficient for, you know, you don't have the physical strength to move. You know, you're done. You can't, you've just got to lay down. That's it. It's not tired. Tired you can overcome. Tired you can put splash water on your face. You know, I like tired. You know, tired is usually because you've been exerting yourself. You've earned some tired.
Yeah.
You know, this exhaustion it's bone deep, you know. And so there's that. And it's again, one of the problems with that, because of the palpitations, and it's because all this, my white blood cells releasing this chemistry into my system, which causes all of these different symptoms. Trying to sleep at night is really difficult. It's really trying to sleep when your heart's palpitating all the time. It's really tough. This wonderful magic pill took away all of that. And it's a nutrient called quercetin. And the nutrient quercetin not only cleans up some chemistry, including histamine, which was one of the protagonists, but also stabilizes these cells. So it's not only treating the problem, it's stabilizing the root cause, right? And I feel the benefits within about 40 minutes. Everything calmed down. My heart started to slow. The internal noise stops. There's all this stillness. My mind's calmer. My tinnitus goes away and I can hear things. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is beautiful. And I haven't felt quite like this in many years. I've found the magic pill. Then, soon after, I noticed that I'm numb emotionally. Like I feel nothing. And that was preferable to feeling seriously severe depression. And that's what came next. Like real depression, most of us won't actually encounter it. Thank goodness. Because most of the time we're experiencing some form of depression based on circumstances. I don't mean most of the time. It's a combination of physically what's going on within us, biochemically, hormonally, but also circumstances. But like the clinical depression, like the real, like physical in nature depression, there's no mindset approach as such that's going to alleviate that any more than thinking about eating a banana will ease your hunger. It's so deeply physical, and I experienced it through taking this supplement. Solved these problems, but left me with, it's incredible just saying this out loud, but I had a suicidal thought. Now, I was able to put that in place and perspective through using the compass, through that being embodied. And again, I'll talk more on that. And I also understand the nature of suicidal thoughts when I work with suicidal people, and I'm able to take them through understanding that, for example, you can have a traumatic experience, a difficult experience that is so desperately difficult for you psychologically, and you can't see a way out of that situation. And your mind might give you, because your mind's trying to give you solutions all the time. What's the solution to this problem of getting out of this circumstance? Oh, there is no solution. Suicidal thought, because that's the ultimate out. That's an out. You could end your life. You're out. And that can just come and happen. It's no big deal. It's no big deal that you have a suicidal thought. It doesn't have to be a big deal. But if that's companioned with a traumatic episode, which then you don't overcome, you can get suicidal ideation, which means that if that circumstance doesn't change and if the trauma is unresolved, that suicidal thought will be a companion to that circumstance or trauma. Okay. And what I do is help educate people about that. You don't have to take the thought so seriously. It's just your mind trying to solve the problem of a situation you don't feel you can get out of. You don't actually want to kill yourself. You want the situation to change, and you want to find a way to change it. And then what we do is we use that. We use that. We acknowledge and use. We don't deny these thoughts. We acknowledge and use them for what they're actually for, to change the circumstance. Okay. Now, for me, it was pure physical depression on the deepest scale, and my mind just went, because I had suicidal thoughts historically when I was younger, when I was in that kind of situation, circumstances that I didn't see any way out, hopeless. So there it was. To return to me, this suicide thought, wow. The depression was so deep, it's like I didn't have any emotional, there was no emotional changes with anything. It was just deep, severe depression. And there was only one thing I could do with it, and that's 4D. There's only one thing, the skeleton key to life. And that is, feel what I need to feel, do what I need to do. To summarize this part of things, I needed to feel whatever I felt, because if I'm getting resistant denial with the depression, with what I'm experiencing, what I'm feeling, I'm creating that gravity upon, more suffering. So the best, the only thing I could do with it was to feel it as deeply as I need to feel it, which obviously I didn't want to feel because it felt horrible, right? And that's why we avoid really feeling what we feel, because it feels horrible. But if I hadn't have done that, man, I don't know how bad it could have got. I used the feel first approach. Then I did what I needed to do, right? And this is the other part of my experience, which was unique from before, and so I haven't talked about it in this way. We do connected to what is meaningful to us. That's how we orient ourselves. That's how we motivate ourselves. Deep motivation comes from meaning. It's how we draw strength and courage to do the things we need to do, even if we don't want to do them. It's how we escape from the cycle of self-gratification and instant pleasures, because we connect with what is most meaningful to us. So then we're able to be disciplined and make the choices which which help us be and become the person that gets to live that more meaningful life. So that's meaning. Now, usually from that meaning, connecting with it, whether it's something that breaks your heart because of the stakes, are so high, or if it's something that gets you feeling really excited because it's meaningful to you, there's inspiration that comes with that meaning. You can draw that strength, draw that courage. You can have the presence to then orient yourself in the direction you need to go. Don't do that thing. If you're a gambling addict father I was working with, don't go to the bookies, because what is meaningful to you is your family and your children. So stop thinking you're just going to the bookies or not going to the bookies. You're either being a shit dad or a good dad. That's the choice. Connect with that meaning. It helps draw strength and courage to go in the direction. Don't go in the bookies. Go here instead. Okay. And there's, like I said, even if it feels bad, there's some emotional charge when we're drawing that strength and courage, which is connected, which is in some form inspiration, right?
Yeah.
But here, I had none of that, like none of it. Not only did I feel zero motivation to do anything, but I felt deeply motivated in this dark way to do nothing. This almighty pull within me to do nothing. And it meant anything I did actually hurt my soul. That's the way it felt. It felt like it deepened my pain doing. It was mad, it was severe. So what I found is that it was the knowledge of what is meaningful to me that I have so clear through living, drawing on my meaning, connecting with my meaning, identifying what is meaningful to me and living it out. It was the knowledge of that meant I did what I needed to do anyway. I did all the things I needed to do as a dad, in day-to-day life, in my business. I did all those things in that soul pain because I had access to the knowledge of what is most meaningful to me and how I feel about it when I'm not in this state, So, and I'm not always going to be in this state, even though it feels like I am in this moment, because everything feels so bleak. And I'm going to need to have kept doing the stuff I need to do on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So it was like no motivation. What I've been talking about before is about actually deep motivation. It's about becoming motivated through the connecting with meaning. That's deep, the deep motivation. You don't have to conjure it. It's not ethereal. It's like real, rooted in your meaning. But there was no feeling of motivation at all. Just the opposite, motivation to do nothing. So I needed to live out what was meaningful to me anyway. Right? I just needed to know it and I needed to do it. Feel what I needed to feel. Do what I know I needed to do. And that's what I did. So that was that part of things. And throughout, like I said, man, huge empathy for people going through anything like that. And my God, the choice every morning, whether to persevere with this treatment or not. Man, again, I like to think of myself as a courageous, strong man. But when it takes you an hour to take a tablet because you do not want to go through that hell you went through yesterday, that's what it was like, man. I persevered because there's the opportunity for this to help me. Maybe things change. Maybe this depression thing starts to stabilize, whatever's going on in response to it. Maybe that goes away, but I keep the benefits. I've got to explore it. I've got to find out. I've got to a degree. There came a day where I had to get the hell out of hell, I had to stop. enough was enough. I couldn't risk going through what I went through the previous 3 days. So I stopped taking it, and then the following days were amazing, absolutely amazing, because the physical benefits stayed, but the depression side effects went away. I took my daughter away. The rest of my family joined me as well. Mum, dad, brother, sister-in-law, niece. And I had the best week I've had in memory. Beautiful, man. Beautiful week. And
I remember seeing the pictures and videos, man.
it was just the best. And the thing is, it's like that choice to take that tablet every day. Again, it was based in meaning. Like there's a potential I need to explore. Maybe, because this is the thing, man, the route out of hell is usually through. And that might mean going deeper in first. So that's what I experimented and explored with. Do I need to go through some more hell? Am I going to be retreating out before I've got anywhere near the center? And then I'm just going to keep on being pulled back in, or am I actually pulling myself through? And that was the thing I was hoping for. And what turned out was the knowledge that there's something here. There's something here with this. I've taken it for a few days, and then I get like almost a week of feeling so much better, even though I'm not taking it. And that was, man, that week was so beautiful. After that week, my physical symptoms started returning. I started returning towards the end of that week. And then I'm kind of like back where I was before I started taking the supplement. But again, not back to square one, because I've got more knowledge, more experience. Now, so many times, it's like with physical pain, sometimes we think, it's painful, so we shouldn't do it. Well, actually, there's some forms of pain which mean you should, because the pain is pointing to a weakness, so you need to strengthen. So you need to, like with, when I first started rehabilitating my body, there was always pain in my upper back, and I couldn't do virtually anything exercise-wise. It was painful, but I actually needed to do it. I needed to ease into it and stretch, because I needed to strengthen that area. And that could be the same with any form of pain, emotional pain. It's like, this isn't necessarily something to avoid. This is something to go into, something to be in and with. And this experience was all of that. And now, with more knowledge, more experience, a couple of nights ago, I'm like, okay, let's take this thing at night. So maybe I sleep through the depression. If it starts working and helps me get to sleep because the physical symptoms are easing because of it, and then gets me to sleep, I can sleep through depression. Maybe that works. David, I woke up yesterday. Best I've felt in memory, man. Best I've felt in memory. Struggling today because I've woke up and I think my body's... I've had this chemistry pumping into me for years and years, right? So there's going to be some stabilization. This is the thing. It's not a smooth road. You just, and there's so much discomfort within the journey you need to take. And, that's true on so many levels. And it's true of this one. It seems like right at this stage, talking to you now, I've had a difficult morning, I'm very tired. It seems like, even though it seemed on some level seemed like square one a couple of days ago, it feels like I'm leaps ahead potentially now. And I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, right? Because who knows? Maybe I just can't take this thing with any regularity. But then, even then, maybe I can take it. Maybe I can take it one night a week, and I get that amazing day, and that amazing day helps move me forward, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. It's about experimenting and exploring.
Yeah, so it's something to dig into, really. It's because I think, and from my own self and what I've witnessed, one of the challenges is that, and you actually said this on the other day when we were getting into embodied presence, and you said when you get into embodied presence, you may well feel more discomfort, and that's actually what we're aiming for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
people could say things like, because they might say things like, I didn't feel any better. It's like, well, that's not necessarily what we're going for.
Yeah,
it might be that you need to feel worse before you feel better.
Yes,
because the route out of hell is through. You might have to feel worse before you can change things. So here's my example with this, right? I was going through this horrible depression. I still needed to do the things I needed to do. Now, if I wrestled with the experience internally, I wouldn't have done the things I needed to do. It would have broke me down. So I felt into what I needed to feel and felt worse because of it, because you're more fully engaging with how you feel. But that's how expression works. That's how the movement, emotion, that's how the movement that emotion needs happens. It's facilitated through expression, internal as well as external. Internal expression is being more willing to feel, feeling into deeper. So it feels worse. Of course it does, because if you're feeling something horrible and distracting yourself as well, you know, it's going to feel in some ways less horrible than when you're turning into it and really meeting how you feel. There's this part of that process is perhaps feeling a lot worse. But in doing that and connecting with myself in that way and having that presence meant that I didn't make things worse and add gravity to my suffering, and I was able to do what I needed to do. So, you know, feeling worse meant I could actually change things and create change. And then, you know, the wonderfully the internal met the external. And now I'm on, it's a complicated journey, and sometimes it is, but the thing that gives us our best chance at making sense of it and being able to actually navigate it and being able to elevate ourselves within it is the feel first approach, is a feeling focused approach, is using, you know, the 4D compass in fullness, you know. And I just more and more from my own journey, which is it seems to be artfully designed for me to it's like a scientific experiment for me to use the compass and to use all of this. But also with others, as we know, there's only one circumstance in which the feel first approach and the 4D compass don't work, and that's if you don't use them. If you use them, it works, right?
Yeah. But it works because it is human experience. It's how to experience being human. That's why it works.
That's it. It's because it's really what's happening. It's really what's happening, and it's leveraging every dimension of our experience, how we experience life, and knowing what to do within each of those dimensions and doing it. You know, that's it's, man, I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for it. And I'm exhausted. I'm tired from what I've been going through physically and emotionally. But I'm filled with gratitude for this. I mean, it was the day after. So I had that the week on the supplement and dealing with all of that. Then I had the week away. I was going to the water park every day. You know, I haven't functioned like that day after day for a long, long time. And then it was the day after we got back that we ran the 4D day together, 4D self-mastery day together.
Yeah.
And I was fucking brilliant. You know, it's like, and the day after I'm looking at this, this is miraculous. Because I've just had this really busy 4 day. I've just been through all this turmoil physically and emotionally. And I rocked up and I delivered such a strong day.
You did. Yeah.
And wow. And I'm only able to do that because of what I'm teaching in that day. Because of this. Man, you know, again, the passion, I couldn't have more passion built on gratitude about sharing this at this stage, man.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously, I've been here to witness everything over the years. You know, the hell you've been through, the many multiple hells you've been through and continue to go through, and just how that no one would know. Like, you know, anybody who sees what you speak about on video, the way you show up to those events like you did the other day, if you weren't being explicit about what you were going through, people would just assume that you're on it all the time, creative, like this, but that it's easy for you. Right? That would be the assumption if you weren't being explicit about the realities of your life, you know. And even though you are telling people, they still don't really know, you know, the real experience from waking to bed, what you have to go through to be able to bring yourself to that moment, to be able to give what you do. So, you know, I'm deeply grateful that I've got to be present to that. and I've got to see it. And of course, man, that I've been able to learn from it, and use it over the years. It's helped me immeasurably in so many different aspects of life. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this with you side by side now, because of course we get to, instead of me kind of just like lovingly interrogating you and you sharing things here and there, which is what we've done over the years, right?
Yeah.
And I get to like immerse myself in it, learning from it with you, observing your life, and then applying it within my own, as well as being part of that group, So I am more enthusiastic than ever about just what this is, and just how fucking important this is for us to be doing, living through, and sharing. It's just, there's nothing else like it, because nobody else, and I've done a lot of things over the years, nobody has come close to summing up human experience the way you have, and giving us the exact like internal resources to actually meet it in all places. There's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. I mean, as you know, we know all the different speakers and people that we've met over the years who have their own things that they do. There's massive things missing because they're getting triggered by stuff they shouldn't be getting triggered by in this stage of their life, right? And it's obvious it's not working in every place because of the way that they're expressing themselves. It's obvious. But for you, it's obvious it is. And for me, it's obvious the development, for things that are happening for me within my world. Just seeing my own progress these past few months, man, what I'm able to bring compared to what I was bringing just a few months ago. It's immense. And obviously a lot of it is here in my home. And a lot of it is just in the way that I'm living. So yeah, this is just something very, very special. So obviously people watching this may not really understand or be able to comprehend just how good this is. And of course, why would you? You're just watching a video. But I just want to bring people in, like, pay attention. Like, really look at what Rich is sharing, look at what we're bringing together, pay attention to us and our lives in the coming months. And I think you'll see that you should be paying closer attention, coming to some things, and actually finding out how you can use the 4D compass yourself in your life. Because like Richie said, it's a skeleton key. It really is to every aspect of life that may challenge us and confront us. We have this, we can meet it and transcend it. No.
Transmute, transcend, transform. As someone quoted that the other day, the TTT.
Yeah.
I was so delighted. Yeah. I was like, cool, man, good. I'm glad. Because it's, it's not just catchy, it's deeply meaningful, that process, that whole approach to things. And the other thing about, this period of time right now is, of course, I had the ingredients to all of this, to teach in 4D, before I got very ill last November, before I ended up, mostly bedbound for 3 months. But because I had to use everything, all the elements, I had to use everything deeper and more than I ever had to get through everything I went through on every level. And there also been monumental personal challenges that have been there too, alongside my health challenges. And by the time I got myself, up on my feet and moving forward, more and more, engaging with life more, I'd used everything to the point where it's now more complete and I'm clearer. I have more faith in it than ever, of course, having just used it all myself for all of the deepest challenges. And, I do see what I've gone through as this amazing opportunity to be able to be of more service. Just saying that fills me up. I feel so good about it. And I'm thinking, remember when we first made a video, our first one of just coming out things maybe in May, I think I even said, I don't know if I'm going to come to the point of being thankful for this experience. I am. I really am. Even this hellish depression I've just experienced with this process too, I really am. And that is mind-blowing to me because of how difficult it's been. But man, if this is the purpose, if this is the point, then so be it. I'll take it. It's fine, because what we get to offer now, or what we get to use for ourselves, man, it's like there's nothing. Me personally, it's like people want to feel safe, right? But most of the time, the illusion of safety is being conjured through the avoidance of what's scary and dangerous. It's not safety. So nobody becomes safe. They just feel safe occasionally. Safety comes through strength. That's true safety. And through using 4D and embodying it, I feel safe through strength. And that feels, it's just, it changes everything. Knowing that you can contend with what life brings because you know how to. And doing it regularly enough that it becomes embodied, and it's just what happens day to day most of the time. And then when that thing comes that really challenges you, that's a bit outside of what you've been dealing with already, well, you bring the compass out. And as complicated, as painful and confusing and everything might be, you can bring it back to these 4 dimensions of experience and use it. Man, it's a gift. It's a gift, brother.
Yeah, damn right it is. Okay. That was epic.
Yeah, man. Thank you for thank you for this. Thank you everyone for joining us and paying attention. We will, if you've got something to say, something to ask, bring it to us. We'll be there for it. And I really hope this has been of value and service. And if there's so much to learn from, we should reference our first video we did. How the fuck do I move forward? Check that out. That's a really strong video. When I talk about how I connected with and used meaning to move myself forward. All the posts I've been making, every single one of them contain elements of what I'm using and what I have to teach. And I'm going to start resharing them on my professional Facebook page, by the way, so people will be able to kind of catch up if they connect there soon. But they're available on my personal page right now, all of them. And I'm really proud of what I've been able to share and how I've been able to serve people throughout this. And I've had such great responses. There's a lot there for people. So I really encourage people to check that out too.
Yeah.
And of course, these are freely available resources. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, what about the Facebook group itself?
Okay. So I have a Facebook group, many hundreds of people on it that used to come to my events historically. The Facebook group is called Richie Watson and Lifewell UK with a hashtag 4D transformation. And I am going to soon be sharing on there regularly and connecting a community of people, exploring 4D, using 4D, supporting each other. Some of the guys that are on this self-mastery course with us now are going to be there engaging, sharing. And, we want to grow that to be this platform where people can connect with resources for 4D, learn it, and also connect with a community of people using it and benefit from it, figuring things out together. I'm going to be there to be able to guide as necessary as well, to share some clips from, videos, our sessions, their posts. I haven't begun it yet, but if you want to connect on that group, coming very soon. And, to make a platform that we can all point each other towards, people that need guidance, need a compass to navigate life, maybe the compass to navigate life, and that can provide that. And so that's coming soon, but you can join it right now and be there ready.
Yeah, and also like me and the other participants are going to, within the next week, right, be posting in there about what we're going through, what's working, what challenges you may be facing. So you'll get like an inside experience of actually from those of us who are using it or engaging with it, whether it's working or not, right? It's going to be all in there for you to see and interact with. So that's going to be in there probably by the time this goes live, actually.
Yeah, great.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, man. Well, thank you. Thank you for going through everything you did and for bringing everything you have.
It is my pleasure. Kind of. It's really not my pleasure, but it's my purpose. So, you know, maybe that's even better.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. You know, and if this has been of value, you know, use it and share it. Thank you for being here.